Hey everyone, welcome to Gamers Xtreme Podcast, Episode 1. And yes, it is Episode 1 because what used to be Radio Xtreme is now being rebooted as just Gamers Xtreme Podcast. And I'm your host, Marcello, and with me are my co-hosts, Karl and Anthony.
How's it going?
Hey guys.
So, finally back after a 3-year hiatus of doing podcasts, so that's why we're rebooting it. So, we got plenty of stuff to talk about. Get right into it. So, first thing is, well, let's just actually discuss what we're currently playing at the moment. I mean, it's the end of summer, end of August. The summer drought's finally almost over. So, what games are we all currently playing? Karl, what do you got going on in your pipeline right now?
It's funny, you said it was a summer drought, but like right now, I have 5 different games that I'm currently playing. Or looking to start playing at least with one of them. It's insane. First and foremost, I'm playing just Monster Hunter. Tons of Monster Hunter still. But I mean, that's my favorite game, so.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, playing it like every night with my brother and our other friends. Besides that, I just picked up Mirror's Edge Catalyst, so I'm playing that. It's a lot of fun. And then I've also been playing No Man's Sky. And those are the 3 that I've sort of been bouncing around with, realistically. So those are my main games that I'm playing right now.
Okay. Very cool. And actually, it's funny, you mentioned, I did say summer drought, but this might have been one of those summers I could be off on that one, since there was actually plenty of games to play throughout this summer. So
yeah, realistically, they had a pretty decent, one a month at least, one big one a month for the most part, so it wasn't too bad.
Right. So, okay, awesome. Anthony, what have you been playing lately?
I've been kind of mixing around. It was sporadic. Playing Resident Evil 5, the HD. There was only one of those, but the HD remaster, even though it wasn't HD when it came out years ago. So I've been playing that. I've also been playing Batman, the Telltale series. And I've had a lot of fun with, because Episode 1's been out.
Okay.
Nice. Is it sporadic?
Just sporadic because I'm bouncing around, and because the next ones are Call of Duty 2, Xbox 360 launch title, almost 11 years ago now. 11 years ago now, exactly, almost. And it just recently became backwards compatible on the X1. So that was my first launch game for the 360 way back when. So I was like, you know what? I really want to get back into this and continue veteran mode, which was one of the hardest for the series. It's just ridiculously hard. And I'm playing that, and that's been a lot of fun. And then also Ori and the Blind Forest, which I go back to occasionally, an indie game. And
yeah, I've heard that one was really good.
Yeah. It was. The art style is really amazing, and it's a lot of fun. So I've kind of been going from shooters to Telltale series games to Ori. So it's kind of been just sporadic. I'm jumping around, but summertime, so it's time for either catching up or playing stuff you haven't played in a long time.
Yeah, I gotta fill up that backlog again, or actually get rid of that backlog.
Yeah.
What about you, Marcello?
Well, currently I've been playing the god-awful, abysmal damnation of a game called Ghostbusters for the PS4. Is
this one based off of the new movie?
So it's loosely based off of it. It takes place with a whole different set of characters that takes place after the events of the movie. But
it's not based off of it.
No, that's why I said loosely, because I think they just throw their names, the characters' names from the new movie in here in the intro. The only cutscene in the entire game I've seen so far. And he plays a bunch of no-name characters, and it's clear because you get to put your own name for each character.
That helps drive the story forward. That's nice.
It does. And it's basically just like the downloadable title Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime that came out on the PlayStation 3 and 360 years ago, where it was a top-down co-op shooter. This game just sucks. It's bad. It's just... The only thing I can say is that it's functional, and it runs at 60 frames. And it's running on the Unreal 4 engine, but that's all about it. You could tell that the game was only in development for 8 months. So...
Oh, wow, that's pretty rough.
But that's Activision, so...
Yeah. What else is new, realistically?
Yeah. Outside of that, though, I've been playing... other games I've been playing are the Nioh Beta, Titanfall 2 Tech Test, both of which we'll be discussing in a little bit. Resident Evil 5 HD, Ultra HD.
You too?
Yeah, me too. Soon to be Resident Evil 4 HD release number 17.
Lost track. I've lost track.
Doesn't matter. It's the one game we'll just keep throwing our money at it because it's it's a masterpiece of a game. And then honestly, I've been also doing some retro gaming. So I've actually been playing my Dreamcast a decent amount.
Nice.
So I actually just picked up Tokyo Extreme Racer, and I picked up Super Runabout San Francisco Edition, which many people probably don't know about.
Yeah, doesn't sound familiar at all.
Well, apparently it's a pretty bizarre game where had I known about this before GTA 3, it would have been my GTA back in the day. And had I also had a Dreamcast, it would have been my GTA back in the day. And you have to choose a role of either you want to play as the cops or if you want to play as just like this regular throwaway character that's just kind of broke and doesn't know what to do with their life and apparently moves in with them. And has nothing to do with the storyline because apparently the first mission is to just drive around doing reckless things around the city. And the second mission is to drive into hot dog stands, steal hot dogs, and crash into other things for no reason.
That's the kind of game I like to play. Yeah, send me out for some wieners.
What was that, Anthony?
I'm so sucked into this plot right now. Nice.
Well, it's an open world game where you can kind of do whatever you want, which is great. And towards the end of the game, you can actually unlock a tank and drive around the entire city with a tank at like stupid speeds.
Naturally,
like whizzing around, shooting at everything. I'm like, that's fun. Like it's comical. There's really, you could tell it's one of those like out there kind of games that really just they weren't looking for realism. And honestly, that's what I look for in a game.
You need some of those games once in a while, ones where you just don't need to think about it at all.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
But yeah, those are what I've been playing more or less lately. But all right, awesome. So we definitely have some stuff.
I'm surprised that you guys didn't mention No Man's Sky at all. Like, did that not attract you guys at all for the summer?
That's actually what I was going to get to because No Man's Sky I never got around to getting yet, only because between big life change for me and getting settled into a new location and everything, I never got around to picking it up. But then I also noticed a lot of mixed reviews. So I was thinking with a game that it's aiming to be, I don't know if it was something I would actually want to dive into just yet. But Karl, you said you picked it up. Why don't you tell us what you think so far, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more of the reason it's getting mixed reviews is because, well, first and foremost, Sony hyped it up pretty big, right?
Right.
And maybe, yeah, I can see that they maybe overhyped it just a little bit. But honestly, it's sort of a mature player's game. I think that's why it's getting such mixed reviews is, huge player base, all sorts of age groups, types of gamers are trying to pick it up, just see what it is. And I think it all went in with their own mindset of what it was going to be, but it sort of is its own thing. It wasn't what they expected. And so as like a more mature game, you go into it with an open mind and it's like, oh, this is just sort of a chill space exploration, kind of self-advancement game. It's like I just said, it's one of those games you don't really need to think about to play a whole lot,
Okay.
So I've actually really been loving it for the summer because I'll play it, I'll play Monster Hunter, my co-op games, and Mirror's Edge ones I got to think about during the day and stuff. And at night, when it's like 11 o'clock, I don't want to go to bed, but I want to still play something, do something. It's one of those games you just put in, chill and play, relax, do your own thing. It's a slow-moving game. There's not a whole lot of story to it, but it's just sort of fun. It's, sort of a little beautiful experience, and you just kind of wander around, collecting information on different planets and stuff. And it's the amazing thing about it is just the scope of everything. It's just kind of fun in its own little calm, sensible way. So I've been enjoying it. Is it worth $60?
That's what I was going to ask you, actually.
Yeah.
And it's just there's so much online about it, and it's like I saw an article yesterday. Of course, the N4G like junk articles. 90% of the players dropped off of it since launch already. I don't know how they're tracking that. It's not like an online co-op thing, but it's just what is it about the game that you think is turning so many people off but keeps you in?
That's actually a really good question. I think it's mostly because, I see it as sort of not the game you have to play every day. Like I go in and I'll explore a planet, and that's the weird thing is you can spend, 40 hours exploring one planet, and you'd still have a good time, in my opinion. You still advance. And I think that's the thing that's turning people away is the advancement. I think that because you hit a certain point, and then you either need to farm a bunch for money to upgrade your ship and your exosuit, or you need to farm different planets for different materials to upgrade them, as well. And I think that's where people are sort of like, well, there's 14 quintillion planets. I need one rare material. How the fuck am I going to find it? And it's like, well, wander around a little bit, and I'm more open to that than I think some of the other players are. And so that's probably the main difference is it's sort of a slower upgrading game, for yourself.
Not a $60 purchase?
It really depends on where you're at. Like I said, it's sort of perfect for me because at the end of the day, I love to just pop it in and play for an hour. So I'm definitely getting my money's worth for it. But I think for the average gamer, 40, 45 is what I would pay for it and be pretty happy with it still.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
To be fair, the game is massive. There's no other game with this sense of scope. I know that for a fact. And Sony had reason to hype it up because, again, there was nothing else like it out in the market. And normally when there's nothing else like it out in the market, a lot of people are going to have mixed feelings on it because they'll set up their own expectations for what the game could be, especially if it's not communicated 100% clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see a game of this scale where you're in a galaxy or even bigger than that, honestly, in terms of just the fact that you said I believe those 18 quintillion planets that they were advertising.
Something stupid like that, yeah.
Yeah, and absurd. And people were thinking like, wow, okay, so I can go from one planet to another and I can do space combat and I can probably do all this other like crazy stuff on each planet. And I think that last statement is where people could get swayed into hypothesizing how the game would turn out, which was, What can I do on all these planets? Is there life to these planets? Is there towns? Is it like it gave you this sense of a game that you really wouldn't need another game ever again, basically. And
sadly, that is not the case.
That's not the case. Instead, it's a game where they stated that it was about this just the sci-fi feel of exploration, freely going around planets, exploring planets, flying in space freely. And while it could be slow paced, people were expecting maybe faster pacing. It's clear that it's not intended for that kind of crowd. It's intended more for those who can appreciate the finer details in games, I would believe.
Oh yeah, for sure. And when you think about it too, like the team that made this game, I mean, it's incredible, that they were able to do this on their own. The small team that it was, and I think that's another reason that draws me in. I just appreciate the art form of it, of making the game.
Oh well, that's another thing. If you could appreciate that, it goes much farther into it. There's been several times where we've played games where we know there's a certain studio or certain development team that's minimalistic and does an even better job than any AAA studio out there that has hundreds of employees. Ubisoft. I'm sorry. Well, that was the Assassin's Creed series. I was getting tired of it. Now they calmed down on that one.
Anything.
To be fair, The Division was actually one of my favorites that they've released in a long time.
So it was
I'll
fun.
give them that credit.
I really enjoyed it, but then the end game was trash, and there were bugs everywhere. So.
But I feel though they're going to see the thing with No Man's Sky. It's funny. It's like I looked it up. They did first show it off in 2013, in December of 13. So I think it was hyped so long because it was shown off so long ago, and then with the delays and this and that. But I feel that another studio is going to definitely rip their idea and expand on it. Maybe not make 18 quintillion planets because there's no reason to make that many. Shrink it down a little bit and then make probably more going on in the universe. So I feel like they had such an amazing big idea that someone's probably going to shrink it a little, still make it big, but they're going to expand on it where there'll be a lot more to do in the universe for not the immature players, because that wouldn't be right, but the players, like you're saying, that are not as mature and want a little bit more going on than just an artistic point of view. So I feel like it's definitely going to be something that's mimicked and copied very soon.
That's a good point, actually, realistically. I mean, they may have been the first ones to break into this new type of game,
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Anthony, you're mentioning how you feel like there's no need to have 18 quintillion planets that would create.
I don't think I think they overshot too much where it sounds cool on paper to say that, but realistically, if these people are dropping off this quick, no one's ever going to explore half the stuff these guys created. So it was for nothing. Whereas if you could shrink it, then use that power to really add more layers to each of these planets, do 1,000 planets or something like that, I feel a third party is going to easily take that, run with it, and maybe be more successful, unfortunately. Not unfortunately, but unfortunately in the sense they're taking this studio's idea and they're going to make it better.
Well, and that's the thing. The game, first, I mean, they didn't actually create the 18 quintillion planets by hand themselves. Instead, they created an algorithm to procedurally generate up to 18 quintillion planets. And that's why the game is only 5 gigs to install.
Oh, yeah. That was hilarious when I
because
downloaded
there's
it. I was
no,
like, are you serious?
Yeah, because there's no assets. It's preloading. It's all procedurally generated based on an algorithm that they've created. So it's running everything off of its code and not having to load a ton of different assets like crazy.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, though. I mean, that, like you said, though, someone could take this idea and run with it. The procedurally generated thing. I mean, like you said, if you shrink it down, add a bunch more stuff to allow different things to be made. Because in No Man's Sky, yeah, sure, 18 quintillion planets, but I can tell you in the first 5 hours, I was starting to see duplicates of maybe not the animals because those were actually pretty well done, but different foliage and stuff and different types of planets.
Right.
You really start to get the sense of, okay, I've seen this before. There's a few differences.
Right.
Sure, fine. It's different.
Well, and that's why we know that when the sequel comes out, because this is a new IP, and Hello Games should be very proud of what they've come up with. To not just drop the IP altogether, but either they can continue support for it, which I'm sure they will, or at the very least, down the line, they will make a sequel with different elements that people were looking for additionally to what's in place now.
Yeah, or maybe like a spiritual sequel. Doesn't even have to be anything remotely similar. But yeah, I think they should definitely keep that sort of. I mean, they're good at math. Should stick with it.
So the sequel will be Some Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Little Man's Sky.
There you go.
So awesome. Okay, well, so at least we got a little bit of information on your thoughts of No Man's Sky. A nice, honest interpretation of it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you'll start to see going on sale soon. You can make that decision for yourselves if you want to grab it or not.
Oh, I think probably going to grab it. I think it's going to drop in price very soon, and then it's going to be picked up by more people.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Birthday's coming up in about a month, so I'm thinking good birthday gift.
There you go.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So, all right, awesome. So, next thing we're going to discuss. This week, we saw leaks, and let's face it, I mean, Sony's not exactly the best at holding their leaks. Except for this past E3. That was the one time where they actually did not leak a single thing, and I was very impressed. But the PS4 Slim. So, actually, let's just start. Our thoughts on what the console design of the Slim looks like. Karl, thoughts?
I like it. I do. I think it makes sense. It's sort of a low profile thing. It honestly, from the front, it kind of looks like any normal accessory for the most part. It's nothing outlandish, and yeah, I think just aesthetically, it looks fine to me. They didn't make any bold moves. Looks good. Pass.
Okay, Anthony, I heard you chuckle for a second. Go ahead.
I like how you said pass. Like all right, just get it out of my lap. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah,
right? I couldn't be the complete opposite if I tried. It is, and Marcello, and it's if after I finish this sentence, it's going to sound like I'm biased, but let me just preface that I have every Sony system. I love PlayStation.
Here we go.
And I admit when things are good and not good, I think it is the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. And console-wise, I mean, the only thing uglier was that they did that Wii Mini, that Canada and certain regions.
That was bad.
It was just, I understand Slim, and you got to make it cheaper, this and that. But because the PS4 had an ultra sexy design to me. It's sleek, great. I like the matte and the gloss, the blue line across. It's just, they really did a great design, and it was great because it made up for the last couple of redesigns of the PS3, which I thought were hideous. And I have some.
I agree with you there. Yeah, the best ones not good.
Yeah, and the last one was the worst, but I think they just topped themselves with this redesign. Yes, in other words, it will be the cheapest hunk of black square you get, so you could just, for the sake of playing a PS4 game, you have it, but I would never want to own one, and God forbid I got an error code on my PS4, I would fight like hell to keep the original design, because me and Marcello both suffered that. I don't know if you did too, Karl. Last generation, you had a really sexy PS3. The original model was awesome. I loved it. Even though it was gigantic, it was huge and heavy. We loved it.
Yeah, I had an original, man, and I lost her to a yellow light.
Yeah.
Didn't we all
did. And to lose that design and then got the next one, which I thought was horrible, and then that third design came, which was even worse. But I'm just glad we have our PS4 models we have. I'll just say that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree that the PS4 model right now obviously looks so much better. But, for me, it's fine. Not the best, but fine. What do you think, Marcello?
I'm going to have to agree 110% with Anthony on this. And and normally, no, screw it. You know what? Yeah, while I have owned almost every PlayStation console, the only PlayStation console I never owned was the original PlayStation 1. I started halfway through the PlayStation 2 life cycle where I actually got the Slim of the PS2, because I actually remember getting that as a Christmas gift. And the PS2 back then was amazing. And despite the original design having the sleek tray that would eject or whatever, I didn't mind the Slim, and I thought it was actually a sleek-looking Slim console. PS3, like Anthony said, all three of us were owners of the 60 gig. And while people made fun of it, calling it the George Foreman grill or anything like that, realistically, that was one sexy-looking console. It was sleek, it was glossy, it had the kick-ass Spider-Man font on the console. It had the nice chrome disc tray, the fully back-compatible PS1, PS2. That was Sony's best designed, and to this date, still best designed console, outside of the fact that it overheated like a mother.
Right. And we paid for it, too. I mean, that console's not cheap. One,
No, well, I didn't get a day one. I waited 6 months. I know. Well, Karl, you got it day one?
I got it day 73 or something.
So
I didn't get a day.
Okay.
But it was a day one console. Still the same price.
Right. And I remember...
It was like a month after.
And I remembered when it went on sale for $500. They dropped it 6 months later for the summertime. $500.
Yeah. No, actually, that's what happened. I bought it, and 2 days later, it dropped in price. I went back and got $100 back. Thankfully, they whatever, but it was sweet.
And that's when I got mine. Was when it hit $500. I was like, all right, that's it. That $100 off makes all the difference for me, because at that time, one of my favorite gaming franchises just got a remake on the system, and that was Ninja Gaiden Sigma 1. So, of course, I was going to go buy a PS3 for that. On top of the fact that I got Resistance alongside it, because that was the other game I was really stoked to finally play, because it's Insomniac Games. Oh, yeah. It's Insomniac Games. They're one of the best developers out there, outside of maybe Fuse, which was the only game that might have not been as high caliber. They're one developer that they just make games that are absolutely fun. So seeing when they made Resistance, and actually when I first tried it, I'm like, wow, this is an awesome game. But yeah, as far back on topic to the PS4's redesign, actually, I was getting to it. So when my PS3 died, I got the PS3 Slim, the first iteration of the Slim, I should say, because there was, 3, 4 Slim
Something
iterations?
Like that. I don't know.
And I was not happy, because I didn't like the way it looked at all. I looked at my now dead PS3 60 gig model side by side with the Slim, and I'm like, this is an ugly hunk of plastic that's just sitting here.
Yeah, no, I hated it too. I actually ended up getting a sticker to match the top of my PS3 Slim, because I just didn't like the way it looked. I was like, it's stupid. So I got some sweet Hellgas on the front.
But that's what they ended up doing now with the PS4. I thought that the original design, I saw it, I'm like, that's sleek. It's different. It's angled, but it's got half gloss, half matte. It's got the sleek LED light in the middle that separates it. That makes a difference to me. And now they released a Slim, and okay, well, they kept the angle and design similar, but you made it all matte, which is ugly. You made it without the LED light, so you took away the sexiness of the console. and you got rid of the touch-sensitive buttons, and now we're back to clicky buttons. So
see, and that's the thing for me is moving away from the aesthetics is the actual functionality of it. Like the buttons and the location are just sort of like, you know?
I mean,
Doesn't work.
It never bothered me for the power and eject being where they were, because I always thought they were hidden. You never really saw it, but you knew where it was because it stood out from the little gloss in the front. It just looks so much sleeker. It looks the original, and this one just looks like a hunk of plastic again. And there's nothing to differentiate it.
Yeah, but the biggest thing here, once you get past the looks of it, though, is how it actually works. And now I don't know the whole specs on it or anything, but like, there's a lot of missing things on this, right? Like, first and foremost, why did they make Sid the Sloth eyes with the USB ports? They're like 3 inches apart.
Yeah,
I don't get that. And then the buttons are like, the eject button is like right in front of the disc tray,
which is ideal.
Not ideal. And didn't they?
Horrible. The way they are positioned, there was a shot of them. They look really cheaply fixed in there. Like they look almost slanted. Now, granted, that was just a leaked image, but I feel like you could guarantee, if you judge by history, every piece of equipment in here will be much cheaper than the original console. So
that's how they cut costs. They have to.
Exactly. So, like the failure rate of the USB reading, this and that. Now you got to come in. You're using cheaper materials. So does that increase the reliability or decrease it, which usually decreases?
Yeah. It just bothers me how far away they are. Like, why would you put them that far away on the front of the console? Like, is there something between there? Maybe I'm not looking close. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, Sony has been usually more of a miss than a hit with their redesigned Slim console. If you look back at, so the PS1, PS2, and PSP, it's been fine. The PS3 has been a joke, and each iteration of the Slim got worse. Even to that really cheap sliding tray that made like a reloading cocking sound when you opened it up. It looked like it was cheap. It looked like it was ready to break anytime you'd hit that eject button. The Vita was the biggest slap in the face to anybody who got stuck with ever getting a second model, because the original had an OLED screen, console was all really slim, sleek looking, and then the updated model, they got rid of an OLED screen, replaced it with a really cheap LCD screen, and still charged almost the same price. So to me, that's just giving the finger to everybody that might have had interest in the Vita. Granted, the Vita was a flop and is nothing more than a paperweight for me as it is. I don't understand the fascination about the Vita that people gave it, because to me that was probably, honestly, one of the most disappointing consoles I've ever owned in my entire life. Sadly.
Wait, you didn't get the PSP Go, right?
I think I like the PSP Go more than I like the Vita.
Okay, because I thought that Vita that flopped quicker than the Vita.
That flopped quicker, but the design of it was sleek as hell. The fact that it slid up, I don't know. I used to always I had that sidekick type of thing, or not sidekick, almost like an LG Voyager type of thing, where you could just slide it open and it looked cool. I
think we all agree no one should be in a handheld business but Nintendo.
Yeah, they really are the only ones that know what they're doing. Apparently,
they've been in it since the beginning. That's the one. That's the one platform or company, I should say, that's been in it since the beginning, and they know their market. Outside of the Wii U's, people not understanding what the Wii U was and that being not as much of a commercial success as the Wii, their consoles sell because they have games, and they have lots of games. They don't have the same types of games, and I love to hear when people go like, oh, well, they have Mario and Zelda, and those are the same. No, they're not. Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed, those are the same. As well as every other FPS that releases nowadays, because they all try to copy a formula of 2 weapons, bloody screen, so real.
You do see a lot of it.
Yeah, outside of the few that stand out, and one of which I'll bring up in a bit. But honestly, PS4 Slim design, ugly, and I think that the reason being is also because there's a little background noise there, but no. So anyway, I'm sorry. Back to the Slim. I think that the reason why the design is the way it is also is because the Nioh will look vastly different from that.
I would think so.
And I think
I
the
would hope
sleekness.
so, but I'm surprised we haven't heard or seen anything about it yet.
Well, September 7th they're showing it.
Oh, is that what it is? I haven't paying attention. Sweet.
September 7th is the conference in New York City showing the Nioh.
I want to add one more thing, and then I definitely don't want to beat it to death, but usually when I saw that Slim, I thought that would be like usually the third or fourth iteration of the PS4's cheap model. So this is how it looks second generation. God help everyone for when they get the third one, because I mean the third one I'm picturing it's just going to be like a trash bag with a little slot for a disc in it. Like I can't picture anything cheap. So it's going to be really interesting to see if this is where we're at with the second generation of it. I don't even want to see 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll definitely have to see. The last thing I want to say about the Slim is the fact that they don't include the optical out. That's the big deal for me, obviously. Because I mean, right now, as far as we can tell, the removal of that just seems like a huge mistake. You cut out so many different headsets, audio setups. Stupid.
Does not make sense at all.
Yeah, whatever. But it does come with a new controller too, right? Is that what we're also seeing?
So yeah, the new controller, what they're changing is basically 2 things. One is any glossiness that was where the face button and D-pad was, that's gone and it's now all matte. The glossiness is all gone, if you're noticing.
Why don't they just take the joysticks too while they're at it? I mean, just the whole controller at this point.
Yeah.
The glossiness is whatever. I could do with or without it, I guess.
Right. And then the other thing is the light bar, or the trackpad rather, touchpad, I'm sorry, now has a little opening in the top corner that shows the light from the light bar.
Yeah, so it's just is it like a crack? Can I cut myself on it? Like what?
So it's just a little sliver opening where you'll see a little bit of the light bar coming through, so you can actually see what color is showing behind or in front of the controller, rather.
Couldn't you just like tilt the controller back to see?
You could.
Okay. Was curious.
Yeah.
I hate to be ahead of the curve here, but I kind of was a little intuitive and took a pocket knife and cut the top of the touchpad, and now I have the same thing. So I don't really have to go out and buy it now.
Hey, there you go.
I saved myself $65.
Fantastic.
Or you can even just look down, and because your fingers are always on the L2 and R2 triggers, and you can just look at the light reflecting on your fingers.
Or just look at your entire room. The light's so bright half the goddamn time. I mean, just holy light of Christ is blaring out my controller most times at night.
And see, meanwhile, that never bothered me. I always thought the light looked awesome, and everybody complained about it. I'm always like, no, that makes it stand out. That looks sleek. That's different.
I think the light's great. The problem is they need to do a controller 2.0 where the battery lasts longer than 20 minutes.
Batteries.
It's pathetic how much I have to plug that controller into a USB to charge it.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do. You go into options and turn the light down to dim, but even still, you're right, it still drains your battery.
It's launch. And mine dies so quick that that was definitely something that cut cost in. And I would think with the Nioh, that's something they would address where that battery life, they would hopefully at least double.
That would be nice, but you have to pay more for it, probably.
Well, yeah, the Neo's going to be pricey, but then again, so will the Scorpio and all that. Like, they have to raise the cost of these consoles, so that's definitely... It's going to be drastic because you're going to have the Slim in one corner and the Nioh in the other, so it's going to be a huge difference in price. Yeah.
I'm very curious to see how the competition unfolds.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see. So, next thing we're going to talk about is the Nioh Beta. So
yeah, you keep saying Nioh. You're Italian, man. I get so confused that I keep thinking Nioh like the PS4, but no, I say Nioh. But I'm a regular American, I guess. So.
We can call it Nioh, or we can call it Nioh. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. We'll just call it the game that Team Ninja's making. That's not Ninja Gaiden, but it's
also not Dark Souls.
It's also not Dark Souls. It's kind of just its own thing. We'll call it the new Team Ninja game.
There you go. Oh, it's fine. Yeah, no, that's been really fun. I've been playing that honestly a little bit, and that's one of the games I've been playing. I sort of one of my five, but I haven't been getting so much attention to it as I would like, simply because we've played it once before already, and it's changed a little bit, but not a whole lot. You've had some time with it, right, Marcello?
Oh yeah.
What do you think of it?
Immediately, I liked a lot of the enhancements. Well, the two biggest gripes I had are the two things that they fixed, because in the alpha, the stamina gauge. Well, I understand there's a stamina gauge and it works for what it's going for. I could not stand the fact that anytime your stamina hit 0, you could not move the character at all until it reset or replenished back to 50%. And it just didn't make the game fun at all, or as fun. It just felt like it was more stressful to play. And whether it added an element of strategy or not, it didn't feel like a good game mechanic at all. And the other one was just the weapons having they can deplete and break. That was the other thing I couldn't stand. I don't like games where I have a weapon but they can break. I'm playing a game. I want to use the weapons. Don't make me feel like, oh, we have a weapon but it could break if you kill X amount of enemies.
I agree.
It doesn't feel. I don't know. It's just another element I don't need to worry about when there's everything else happening in the game to worry about.
I get it. I mean, in a maybe a little more of a exploration free roam game, it wouldn't be as much of a problem. But in a game like Nioh, where you really are limited to what items they give you for the most part, you don't want to risk going out there all the time and farming enemies. You don't have to find one type of item to replenish your weapon. Yeah, it is sort of a pain to have to worry about that durability.
Yes. Outside of that, I don't remember ever getting this in the alpha, but dual katanas.
No, those are new.
Those are awesome.
They are my favorite thing ever. But I'm a big dual wielder anyway. But they're just amazing. I mean, I think what the one thing they've done really well is balance all of the weapons to make you want to use all the weapons equally, because they all have really cool abilities. They all have their strengths and weaknesses, and with the 3 different stances, high, medium, low, you can really use them for a lot of different scenarios too. So I think the dual katanas is a welcome invitation, or a welcome addition to the game, and I think it fits really well with everything that was already established. So yeah, I love them. They're my favorite. I'm gonna use them no matter what.
Yeah, no, they're awesome for sure.
Yeah, but I've been playing it a little bit, and I'm up to the first boss. I've sort of in this rut where the first time I played the demo, by the time I got to the first boss, because of all the I didn't know where to go, I didn't know what's going on. I died a lot, but I still recovered a lot of my XP, or Amrita, whatever you want to call it. By the time I got to the first boss, I was level 19. So, not that he was easy, but I had a much easier time. I had much more stamina or ki. My weapons did more damage and everything. And now, the first time I tried the boss, I was level 9 the second time around. I got destroyed. I'm still getting destroyed. And part of it is due to what I think is a change in some of the dodge mechanics, or the timing, realistically, because I remember, and I looked at my past videos that I looked at, the dodging was a lot more forgiving. And not that that's a bad thing they changed it, but it just seems like right now the window is so small, because I will start dodging in the middle of my dodge, or at the start or end of my dodge, still get hit by a really massive attack and knock me out of it. And that's something I've really got to change. Maybe that's the direction they're going for, to make it more challenging. But man, I just felt like before it was challenging enough, where that one tweak, that whatever few milliseconds or something, has really affected me.
Right. No, for sure. Like I said, from what I saw, the changes there were definitely noticeable and much needed. The dodging I noticed, because, for example, if you try to, I remember in the alpha, I mean, I could be wrong. I could have swore though, dodging, if you dodge twice, no matter what weapon you had, you rolled for your second dodge. And now,
maybe, I don't remember.
And now it seems like if the heavier the weapon, you're not going to roll. You're just going to do 2 side steps. So that was one of the things I noticed that they changed. I could be wrong on that one. I just never noticed it in the alpha.
Possibly, but yeah, it seems like they've made a bunch of, just a handful of big tweaks, like you said, about the stamina and the durability is no longer there. But it seems like there's a lot of minor tweaks as well. I noticed some movement speeds and some of the dodging mechanics of the single katana as well changed, as well as the stopping power of the spear as well seems to have increased too, which is whatever, it's their game. But yeah, some of those minor things where I was kind of maybe abusing them or maybe recognize the power before I'm trying to and I'm not getting the same results out of it. It's interesting to see the changes. I'm still looking forward to full game being released. Definitely going to be picking it up. It's a fun, challenging game. You and I both kind of like those types, so really looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if only we can get a release date on it, that'd be great.
I was just going to ask you guys, when is it due? There's still no word of that?
Anything.
There's nothing yet. I'm going to say maybe spring of next year.
Okay.
That's my
yeah.
thought.
That would make the most sense. I mean, it seems like they're moving along pretty readily with it for the most,
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. But
Yeah, it seems that way too.
You can say. So.
Awesome. So.
Yeah.
Next thing was Titanfall 2 tech test is live for a second time this weekend. And
it's up this weekend again too?
Yeah, so they added it this weekend for a second time, and apparently they did a lot of changes, or behind-the-scenes changes, based on a lot of the feedback that came back from last weekend. Because apparently a lot of people were not happy with it last weekend. Now, I never got to play the original Titanfall, but from what I remember seeing, I was always excited about it. But this one, I started it last weekend. I was having a blast with it. I had no qualms with it whatsoever, but I also had nothing to draw a comparison from. So I also tried it out this morning for a bit. Still felt awesome. Still felt like a ton of fun to play. Now, Anthony, you had the first one and the X one, correct?
Yes.
So, and you got to play this tech test as well.
Yeah. Now I played today after it was updated from last weekend. So apparently, the complaints that I saw online from last weekend's tech test was that they definitely decreased the speed of the characters, jumping speed, running speed, strafing, shooting. Everything just felt slower. And the original, when it came out, when you played it, immediately you noticed everything was just so fast. It was too fast for me. Just above and beyond speeds that you were used to in Call of Duty. Call of Duty was pretty fast. And then if you remember, once Advanced Warfare came out, it tried to mimic Titanfall a little with the jumping and the jetpack kind of playing online. But now playing this tech test today, since this update, the speed seemed pretty on par with part one. So whatever happened last week, whatever version of that, because it does clearly say it's a pre-alpha stage you're playing. And they give you, I think, about only 2 or 3 levels, about 3 modes to play. It was fun. I mean, to me, that whole grappling hook they added to it it changes the game up, because in one, you just had that jetpack, that boost you would jump with, but you didn't have this grappling hook. And there's another cool thing now where you could have a doppelganger of yourself. It's like a hologram of yourself. So when you're running, this thing's running near you, so the player doesn't know which one to shoot at. So it kind of gives you a little cover. And the game just seems like it did a lot of refinements. It seems a little bit sharper. But more importantly, just now, it seems like almost the same speed as one from today's update. I had a lot of fun with it. Definitely, to me, it's like a Call of Duty on steroids when you play it, because the thing with Titanfall was it's just so much going on. It's almost too much for me, but players loved it. And they loved that type of gameplay. You have people flying around, people in robots, people shooting. It's just really intense. And it definitely felt from the demo today, it was bringing back that feeling of the first one.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, like I said, from what I played, the whole fluidity of the gameplay mechanics is awesome. I love the fact of just how the pilots control, how smooth they feel. You can double jump, slide, run on walls, climb up buildings, and you can do it all seamlessly, which is great. It's not like you're restricted at all. For example, Black Ops 3 tried to mimic some of those elements, but they only give you like a small stamina meter to work with, so you can't overdo it. And that was all part of the gameplay mechanics. But with this, I feel like you're more freeform and just can keep going, sliding, running on walls. There's nothing like restricting you from doing it, really. And the best part is when you can call in your Titan and you just see it crash land and you're running on a wall and you could jump into it, and it changes the animations of how you get into the Titan based on what you're doing, whether you slide under it, you jump at it, you're standing near it, run on a wall and jump toward it. And then once you get to the Titan itself, I love how the heads-up display forms this like 4 or 5 different screens to show you a full screen of what you're supposed to see through the Titan's eyes. The whole thing is just a freaking blast, honestly. So definitely excited for that one.
Yeah, are you guys gonna both pick it up then, or what do you think?
That's definitely. I'm more intrigued on that than I am for Battlefield 1.
Oh wow!
And I know many people would not be.
Battlefield 1 at all.
Yeah, Battlefield 1. I mean, it looks all right. I'll rent it. I'll give it a shot. But honestly, I put in enough time with Battlefield 4, and by that I mean I really forced myself to play just so I can get the platinum trophy on the. I could not get into Battlefield 4's multiplayer life for me. But outside of that, like I said, I mean, it comes out. They come out very close together. But Titanfall 2 is the one I'm much more interested in. Battlefield. So, but yeah, that's my thought on that.
Nice.
So,
are you gonna get that, Karl, or no?
No, I mean Titanfall. I actually bought it for PC, the first one, and I played it maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I enjoyed it a little bit. But you're right, it was I'm not a PC gamer, but it was just too fast for me. But I mean, it was fun. It was really cool. It was a great new idea, and I enjoyed what little story there was with it, sort of kind of going and playing with that. But the multiplayer I just couldn't keep up. So I will probably be passing on Titanfall 2. But, if it drops in price and I got a bunch of friends playing it, we'll see.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, new thing we're going to do, well, one thing we're going to have with every podcast and starting now is we're going to always try to mention our personal game deal of the week. So always spotting out any game deals, any good games going for cheap that people might not have picked up. So one of the ones I spotted this week, my personal game deal of the week that I spotted this week, that's currently still going on, is Doom, PS4, X1, and PC. That's actually down to $20 already.
Wow, that is really cheap. I heard that game was pretty good too.
The game is outstanding. And this was now touching base on what I was mentioning earlier about there are a few FPSs that try to not mimic other ones with the whole realistic aspect. Doom is a return to form. It's a reboot, but it takes whatever worked with the originals, puts a little bit of a modern twist to it, but it still feels as fast-paced and frenetic as the original games. I got a chance to, when I rented it back in May, I got to play through it, beat it. I thought it was an awesome game, really fun, really fast-paced, just really brutal too, and really gory, but just an awesome, fun game. Definitely brings back the feel of when FPSs were at its finest. And by that meaning that the whole realistic aspect was gone. It was just about having fun, having kick-ass weapons, and just killing demons and all that stuff.
Yeah. From what I've heard, that's sort of the feel with it, is that it's just sort of kind of takes people back, and it's just a really good time.
Yeah, and outside of the campaign being excellent, the multiplayer, which is pretty fun, they also have a snap map feature. And this, you get to create your own maps from scratch, really simply by snapping things together as the name intends. And you get to create your own modifiers and everything. So you can create your own competitive multiplayer maps or your own online co-op, like horde mode missions, anything like that.
Sweet.
So $20 gets you a lot of bang for your buck with this game.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So,
and it came out very close to when another somewhat semi-big title came out. I don't know, Uncharted 4. It was okay. It was semi.
Oh, yeah, I just heard of that a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Nothing too big. But, yeah, that was the thing. I mean, it came out when Uncharted 4 came out, and Uncharted 4 was massive, and everybody was focusing on that. So, unfortunately, I don't know if the game sold well enough, or if they're really just trying to entice even more people to get into the online community or just get a chance to play this game. But for $20, GameStop and Amazon has it for that price. It's really hard to turn that price down for that game.
Yeah, I'll have to look in. Well, I'm poor, but I would have to look into that if I wasn't.
All costs of Jackson.
Well, my deal of the week was the one that you pointed out to me, and that was Mirror's Edge for $30. So that's where my money went for this past 2 weeks or whatever. And I actually just checked on Amazon, and it's still $30 on there. Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and that's the lowest I think we've seen it, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I think it's totally worth $30 for it. I mean, I'm a big fan of that. That game, really. There's not really many other types like that one. The first person parkour, freestyle, whatever you want to call it.
No.
No, and it, the story's pretty decent so far. I haven't beat it yet. The story is about a little bit above what you would expect, actually.
Better than the first.
What's up?
Better than the first game.
Yeah, I would say better than the first game. I don't even remember what the first game was about, really. But
my point exactly.
Yeah. This one at least makes a little more sense. But there's just so much to do in it, really, and it's just a nice single-player game, with a little competition in there, multiplayer. And honestly, the biggest thing that surprised me about Mirror's Edge Catalyst was I really have fallen in love with the combat. So,
okay.
Yeah, it tells you, it's like, don't be afraid to run away from Krugersek. You're being surrounded. I was like, no. We're taking them out.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'll try to actually utilize the combat. And the combat's cool. Like, some people were complaining about how you can't use the guns this time around, but even in the original, I never did, only because I didn't want to treat it like a first-person shooter. I wanted to play it like what it was, something unique.
Guns in the first Mirror's Edge?
You could, but I remember one of the trophies being to beat the game without picking up a single weapon.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I do remember that had like pipes too you could use, wasn't it?
I don't remember
lead pipes or something. I don't know.
I don't remember if you could. I could have sworn it was just the guns you could use.
Yeah,
but either way,
I don't remember much about the first.
Well, yeah, the first one. I think that was the second game I ever got a platinum trophy on, and that was really well earned considering how difficult the time trial missions were.
Yeah, for sure. But they added a few new things in this time around Mirror's Edge that really make the running a lot smoother and a lot more enjoyable. So I think it's totally worth $30. I would pick it up right now.
Yeah. No, definitely for that price, it's definitely worth it. It's a great game from what I played myself so far, and I haven't finished it yet myself. But like you said, there's just a lot more to do in this one. You have the open world environment. The game runs really smoothly at 60 frames a second, and the city of Glass looks awesome. Yeah, no, it really does. I mean, they did a great job with it visually. Even a lot of the audio is fantastic too. The soundtrack gets in the way. Like, I think it's really, really solidly well-made game, all things considered. Absolutely. So,
I just had a deal that I came across a little while ago. Anyone who, I'd be shocked if they hadn't played it yet, but The Last of Us, the remastered edition for PS4, I think was like $12.95 this week at Walmart, physical copy. So I think that's definitely a great deal if you like owning physical copies like me. And for $12-13 to get that version would just be perfect to add to your collection. Yeah, for that price. Yeah, if anybody who hasn't experienced that, I mean, that game's amazing. Yeah, that's definitely still one of my favorite games of all time. Oh, hands down. Oh, easily. Nice. Actually, it's funny because we mentioned that game, and we look at Troy Baker, for example, and his phenomenal performance as Joel in that game. It's actually funny. I came across a video yesterday on YouTube. It was a top 10 video of the top 10 Troy Baker games that he was in. So it's a whole video dedicated to him. So actually, I think it was Watch Mojo was the YouTube channel that did it. So it's actually worth a watch. It's actually kind of funny. It's funny seeing him portray the different roles, and he actually does an awesome job changing up his dynamic in every role he's done. Yeah, he's an incredible voice actor, of course. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no question. Best out there right now. Yeah, hands down. So, all right, awesome. And then the last thing we'll finish up with was basically just what games are we looking forward to in the next couple of weeks? Anything coming out in the next couple of weeks we're looking forward to? Karl, you want to go first? Or? Man, I don't think I really have much coming out in the next couple of weeks, do I? I don't even know what's coming up in September. Is there anything coming up in September? A bunch of remasters. Yeah, see, I honestly think the next game I'm planning on picking up, because Final Fantasy got moved back, is going to be Dishonored, and that doesn't come out until October, November, or something like that. So. Yeah, that's right.
October, November. So you have that pre-ordered, the second one.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the awesome Corvo Mask Collector's Edition thing. I hopped on that right away.
Awesome.
But I did pick up a game on Tuesday that I'm really looking forward to starting. It's called Armikrog.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. It's like the claymation game, right?
Yeah, exactly. One of the first video games my brother and I ever played was Clayman in the Neverhood back on PC way back in the day. And it's just the same guy who's making like a spiritual sequel for it. And so I cannot wait to do this, point and click puzzler on my PS4. Yeah, and it was only $9 for PlayStation Plus. It's just one of those that's going to take me back a little bit. I'm just looking forward to playing that. But other than that, no, just really Dishonored is all I have coming out. So
okay.
Unfortunately.
What about you, Anthony?
I got a couple of things. Some extend into probably like the first or second week of October, but definitely next week, Resident Evil 4, the HD remaster. Capcom is excelling in releasing old stuff, so that works out great.
Mm-hmm.
Besides Resident Evil 4, my BioShock collection I'm waiting for. That's another remaster.
Nice.
So, just a few weeks after that, I got Mafia 3 and I got Gears of War 4 I'm waiting for. So I'm really excited for both of those. And, that's it for from now until early October. That's what I'm going to do.
When does Gears of War 4 come out?
That is, I want to say like October 11th, it's around the same week as Mafia 3.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that should be pretty big.
Yeah, so I got to definitely balance out the budget and fit 2 remasters and 2 new games. Yeah. So
it's a bad problem to have.
Yeah.
Or a good problem to have, sorry.
First world problem.
First world problem.
Marcello, do you have anything coming?
Outside of Resident Evil 4 next week, basically just I think Dead Rising 1 coming out in a couple weeks for the PS4 and X1. So because I never got to play the first Dead Rising, looking forward to seeing that one. And then Dead Rising 2 comes out I think the day before my birthday. So
nice.
Which came out on the PS3, I believe the same time also, because I remember buying myself that. As like a birthday gift to myself back then, and playing that with a buddy of mine. So that was actually really cool. I remember the second game being really fun, like great storyline, adequate storyline, some good funny scenes in there. I remember, but just a fun game overall. And nice. I mean, as far as that's all that comes to mind at the moment. So
it'll start picking up here. After a month, really, really soon here. I mean, obviously everything starts coming out in October and November, December. There's Kingdom Hearts 2.8 HD remaster final prologue, best thing ever thing, whatever.
2.8 or 5.
Yeah, the huge crazy title.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous what their titles are, but hey, I mean the games are supposed to be really good. So I only got to play the first one from beginning to end.
We'll have to talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. So that'll end our first episode. And we're going to try to do our second episode next week. And we'll try to keep it as a weekly podcast.
Great. Looking forward to it.
So
yeah, cannot wait.
Karl, Anthony, thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Stay tuned next week for episode number 2.
Yep. Take it easy, guys.
Take it easy.